Hello, welcome to another Facebook Live with North American Spine and Pain. As stated, unfortunately, Dr. Pitchford will not be able to do the Facebook Live today, so in his place, stepping in. Once again, my name is David Nguyen, and I am the manager of new market development here at North American Spine and Pain. And I primarily deal with the medical marijuana program and also our CBD program as well. So, as stated in the description today, we're going to be doing a continuation of the Facebook Live that we had last month with myself and Dr. Slevin, where we went over kind of more of the high level medical marijuana and CBD types of kind of frequently asked questions, I would say, and touched on a lot of like things here and there. But today, what we're going to do is essentially dive into more of the different types of product offerings that the medical marijuana program does provide, as well as some of CBD, which we'll touch on as well. So we'll give it a little bit of time for people to come in. And then if you have any questions, or if you have any questions that you would like answered by myself or viewed by the team, feel free to put them into the comments section, and I will be sure to get to them. So we'll give it about 30 seconds to a minute here for people to come, and then we'll go from there. Perfect. And I see some people trickling in. So welcome to the Facebook Live. As stated before, I am taking the place of Dr. Pitchford today, since he'll be postponing his pain management Q&A. As stated, my name is David Nguyen. I'm the manager of new market development, and I deal with the medical marijuana program and CBD. Hello, Renee. Hope you're doing well. So what we'll be dealing with today is pretty much diving into the medical marijuana program and discussing a lot about the different types of products, the different kind of how long it'll take you to get the effects and how long it'll last. Hi, Terry. And like I stated before, if you have any questions or anything, please feel free to put them into the comments, and I will get to them. But as stated, let me just hop into it. So with medical marijuana, I know we all have a lot of patients in the audience, and also some if you're interested in the program as well. But if you don't know too much about the program, and you just know that medical marijuana is just marijuana, here to kind of break down those different types of products. So with medical marijuana, when you do get your card and you do go to the dispensary, essentially there's going to be 5 main types of products. And those main types are going to be flower, vapes, extracts, where you'll also see them called tinctures, and you'll have edibles, and then you'll have topicals. So we can go ahead and just kind of dive right into breaking each and every one of those different sections. So flower is pretty much the purest form of medical marijuana. It's essentially, obviously, you know that marijuana is grown in the ground. It can be grown indoors, outdoors, be grown with different chemicals and all that. But flower is the terminology that's used for pretty much the marijuana plant. And this is what you'll see when you go to the dispensary. In the jars, it'll be kind of like tiny, tight buds. And what you'll do with these is pretty much get them, you'll have to grind it up to kind of break it down, and then you'll need some sort of apparatus to be able to physically smoke it. So this, the items that you'll usually find in the dispensary will be like bowls. You can put them in and roll it up with rolling paper into joints, or you can smoke them with other different apparatuses with that as well. Generally with flower, because it is getting absorbed and you're inhaling it and it's getting absorbed through your bloodstream, the effects will pretty much take effect anytime between, like, almost immediately you'll kind of feel that to within about maybe 15 to 20 minutes, and depending on how your body essentially processes the cannabinoids and the terpenes. It'll last anywhere between, I usually see on average around maybe the 3 to 4 hour time mark, but it kind of varies from, it can vary from that, depending on how your body and your endocannabinoid system is processing it. So that's flower. The next kind is what we like to call vapes. So vapes is essentially when they extract the cannabinoids and the terpenes and put it into essentially an oil format, and they get rid of all of the other parts of the plant. And essentially what happens is this oil gets put into a cartridge, and it's a pretty small cartridge, and you kind of screw it into a pen battery, or you can do it other different ways as well. You can do like dabs and whatnot. But the general concept behind this is when you inhale, if you're using a vape cartridge, the pen battery essentially has a heating element, and it will heat up the oil. And then what you're doing is you're inhaling the vapor, hence the name vapes. So this is a little bit of a cleaner way than say smoking the flower, because there's not a lot of like waste that goes along with it, and it's less of a smell, and it's a little bit more discreet because there's obviously a less of a setup time with it. However, with the vapes, because it is more of you're essentially paying for the convenience of it, it can sometimes be a little bit more expensive than say getting the flower, because it's kind of already extracted and whatnot. But obviously with those first two kinds, with the flower and the vapes, if you have any sort of pre-existing medical risks like respiratory issues, like with your lungs or what have you, then I would definitely say to stay away from those and look at other methods. So moving on, the third kind would be called extracts or concentrates or tinctures, however you want to call it. And these are usually in tincture bottles, which are essentially smaller glass bottles, and they have a dropper on top. And the most popular way to take these is just sublingually. You can apply it directly underneath your tongue, or you can mix it into foods that you are cooking, making, or drinks as well, like hot teas or coffees or what have you. And this is a very convenient way to take in medical marijuana, especially for those that don't prefer smoking. It essentially just mixes in, and since it is more of a liquid format, it goes in through your body, usually around, since it pretty much is a liquid, it will be a little bit faster than say edibles, which I'll get to, but it still kind of follows that same trajectory, which means you'll probably won't feel anything until give or take maybe around 20 to 30 minutes, maybe a little bit longer, depending on how your body digests food. But this is a convenient way to take it more in a sort of like a liquid edible format. The thing with this to kind of look out for is since you are kind of, if you're applying it directly to your tongue, the taste sometimes might be a little bit strong. So it's something of like an acquired taste, or at least you have to kind of get used to it. But if the taste is something that does put you off, then it is something that you can, like I said, mix in with other foods and or drinks to essentially help you mask the taste of it. And with the tinctures, when you take it, like I said, the time it will take for you to feel the effects will be a little bit longer than say if you were smoking it. But the plus with it is it'll last a little bit longer since it's being kind of digested and absorbed through your body that way. So usually with those, give or take around maybe like 4 to 5 hours, with kind of, you always have to calculate kind of a buffer into there as well. So that covers the 3 first types. The next kind is going to be called edibles. So edible is essentially, like the name entails, is stuff that you eat, right? So these are going to be items that you find at the dispensary that are already pre-made for you in very recognizable forms. These are going to be like bites or lozenges. Some dispensaries will have gummies and all that. And that's just basically, they are extracting all of the cannabinoids and the terpenes, and they are mixing it into the food. So just to go over this, because it is a physical food instead of a liquid, it basically kind of follows the same concepts as if you were to take regular medications like on an empty stomach versus on a full stomach, right? It depends on how fast your body digests food, but if you take it on an empty stomach, it'll act a little bit faster. If you take it on a full stomach, it'll take a little bit of time to act, but usually on that, expect to not feel any effects until around maybe 30 to 45 minutes and more, right? So one of the key things that I always tell patients is you want to be very, very mindful of the type of product that you're taking and then the time that it takes for you to feel effects. So, a good example is some patients will be very used to smoking, and they'll be used to getting those effects almost immediately to within 15, 20 minutes. And when they take edibles, they don't feel those effects right away. So they'll make the kind of the very, very common mistake of taking more. And with edibles, at some certain point, the effects are going to hit you. And it's the pro and the con with edibles is that it lasts longer because your body is digesting it slowly and absorbing it at a little bit of a slower rate. So it's a pro, which means that if you take it and you dose correctly, the effects will last much longer, usually around 5 to 6 hours. And if you take it at nighttime, your body digests food a little bit slower, so it'll last you potentially for the full night's rest. And then, but if you take a little bit too much, then you'll kind of be in that, you'll have those effects for that long as well. So just be very mindful of the types of products and kind of keeping a journal or at least keeping track of the time, which then leads me to the last type of product, and that's what's known as topicals. So topicals are basically, like the name entails as well, anything that you put on top of your skin. So these can be lotions, creams, roll-on balms, and with the first four kinds, the flower, the vapes, the tinctures, and the edibles, because you're either eating or inhaling it, it'll give you what's known as a systemic effect, which means it'll spread throughout your body, but it's not necessarily like you can like focus it on a specific area of your body. Now that's the case with topicals, whereas you're applying it locally to a specific part of your body, you'll be able to essentially control where you want the medical effects or the medical relief. So with those, really depends on, always make sure that you don't have any allergic reactions to any topicals, but depending on where you put it, and also depending on how active you are, you usually, rule of thumb is you usually feel effects within about maybe 15 to 25 minutes, and it'll last, on average, maybe around 3 to 5 hours. But if you're active, a little bit more active, then it will last a little bit shorter. If you're less active, it has the potential to last a little bit longer as well. So that's kind of the whole overview of everything. And the last thing that I wanted to add before I get to some of the questions here is that it's always good to be mindful of where your pain is happening and how to kind of develop or at least kind of jot out an appropriate treatment plan with that. So say, for instance, you have pain, say you want to get pain relief from medical marijuana, that's your main goal, and you have pain on multiple parts of your body, and you take something that gives you a systemic effect, and say it's giving you the relief, but you still have some pain in maybe one or two different places. So what you want to do in that situation is pair it up with the topical, because the ultimate goal is to essentially get everywhere there you're trying to treat, or everywhere where you're having pain and you want pain relief, down to essentially what I like to say kind of a net neutral. So in that case, if you pair it with the topical, then you can get all kind of parts of your body that are in pain down to kind of a level 0 out of 10 out of pain, or what have you, just kind of make it all equal. But what you don't want to do is say take more of a systemic product that will give you a systemic effect, because that has a very easy way for you to essentially kind of trip the meter into getting a little bit too much THC, and then that leads into impairment. And for those that aren't used to getting the effect of feeling loopy or impaired, or like we call it high, it can potentially make you feel a little nauseous. So I know, like Nicole is saying here in the comments, always go low and slow, which is something that we really much advocate. It's better to start out low and not get an effect, or even just get a tinge of an effect, so that you know that next time you can use a little bit more versus diving into the deep end and kind of trying the strongest product and like smoking a lot or eating a lot and then getting kind of a reaction or an effect that would essentially kind of turn you off from the program wholeheartedly. So that's the other thing. And like I said, always try to take a journal anytime that you do dose. So what I mean by this is take a journal and jot down the type of product, how much you're planning on taking of the product, and then optionally, if you want to put down like how much that product costs you so that you kind of know how much you're using of that total cost. And then if you can, jot down how you feel before, how you feel after, and if possible, how you feel during, so that you know how you feel before and after exiting kind of the dosage of it, so that you know next time you know how much to take or how to adjust and whatnot. Because like I said to patients, what you want to really work towards, since medical marijuana is unfortunately not covered by insurance at the current time, it can become very pricey. But what you really want to work towards is a sort of magical formula so that you know for every month, how much do I need to spend to get the kind of necessary pain relief that I do need to kind of treat my medical conditions. And for every patient, I know it's very, very different, because some may be using it in addition to medication. Some might be looking to switch off of their regular medications. So it's a whole different kind of case by case basis. But always with what I was saying, I definitely would advocate that it applies to all patients to at least kind of jot down everything. And it's good because you'll kind of learn along the way as well. So let me get some of the questions. Okay, so let me scroll up here. So Nicole, hi Nicole. So Nicole states that she can't smoke anything since she has severe lung disease and the lozenges have been out of stock lately, unfortunately. So that is something that definitely occurs more than you would think, especially with the lozenges. Something that's a little bit more kind of direct to what you need. And she also states that she finds edibles and tinctures help nerve pain a little bit more. So yes, so in that case per se, that you like a dispensary that you go to, but maybe they're out of the products that you're looking for, and maybe the lozenges are working out great for you, but they ran out and they have other edibles, but maybe unfortunately those edibles are based off of completely different strains than what the lozenges would be. Then you always don't want to, you potentially don't want to really run the risk of trying a product from a different strain that might not give you the same effects. So in this case, you have a multitude of different options, but in the case that maybe they're out of lozenges and maybe they, for instance, don't even have any other edible products as well, what you can do, and what we'll be illustrating in the next few months here, because we're going to be kind of ramping up to essentially show patients how to potentially make their own edibles from medical marijuana, is there are options to kind of make your own medical marijuana edibles. Just when you, and what I mean by that is you can get the flower, and then we have different companies that we kind of definitely like what they're doing, and there's different machines where you can just put the flower in and essentially kind of like extracts all the cannabinoids and the terpenes for you to essentially help you make your own gummies and edibles at home. That's one way of doing it. Or the other way is obviously looking at other alternatives. But if you do have, Nicole, like severe lung disease, I would definitely not recommend that you smoke. And if that is the case, then I think it's self-explanatory when you explain it with the edibles and the tinctures, they will help you. So yeah, that's that. Let's see here. Okay, so Marcus, hi Marcus. So Marcus states that he is on methocarbamol, meloxicam, and gabapentin to quell his nerve pain. Would it be possible to replace this rather annoying while effective regimen with medical marijuana? So that's a good question for, say, like Dr. Slevin, who was with me on the prior one. But I would say that outside of the pharmaceutical medications that you're using, medical marijuana does have potentials to help you with with nerve pain. So what you can do is, based off of the products that I outlined, you can go in, and if you are interested in that, what you can do is either chat myself or reach out to us at North American Spine and Pain and schedule an appointment with us, and then you can meet one of our physicians. They can work you through the process of getting the medical marijuana card, and then they can discuss also the medications with you as well. But with the different types of products, that's kind of what you would have access to: the flower, the vapes, the edibles, the tinctures, and also the topicals as well. And I would say, with what we've seen, we do see a lot of patients. Like I said, they come from pretty much all walks of life, where they're either looking to kind of ease off of medications and go into medical marijuana, or use both kind of together, or there's also patients that come in directly just for medical marijuana and or CBD as well. So different walks of life, but I would definitely say is there's a very clear path. And I know Renee is asking as well, where do I go for MMC? I think you meant MMP, which is medical marijuana program. But if you are interested in the medical marijuana program, kindly just pretty much reach out to us at North American Spine and Pain. I can put our website. It'll be at naspacmd.com. There you can reach out to us, or just give us a call, schedule an appointment with one of our physicians, come in, and then work towards kind of getting the medical marijuana card. And in our case, it's relatively quickly. You can do it in pretty much a few. We have to have a few appointments first to kind of verify patient history and kind of get to know you a little bit better, unless you are already one of our patients. And then after that, then you have your official first medical marijuana appointment, depending on which state you're in. It varies a little slightly, but it's pretty much the same process, where you upload your documentation to the state. You pay the state for the card, and then once you have your card, then you can basically go to any dispensary of your liking. But I would say also the benefit is, with us, you always have direct access to me. So think of me as kind of an on-call person for the medical marijuana program. You can give me a call at any time, shoot me a question through email or what have you, and I can always help you with it. And that's usually what I do with patients, is pretty much after they get approved for the card, I will have a direct call with them. Think of it as, say, a consultation, and basically go through all of what I said before, but a little bit more catered to the specific medical ailments that you're looking to treat and any sort of health risk that you have, and then basically going into giving you kind of high-level recommendations and advice with that as well. Okay, so let's see. The next one is, must you have a medical marijuana card to use topicals? So Kathleen, hi Kathleen. So good question. So to use medical marijuana topicals, yes, you have to have a medical marijuana card. Now there is another section here, which is hemp. So hemp-based products pretty much give you all CBD, but no THC. So there's no risk of the impairment, but you get all of the medical benefits. So it depends on what the patient is going through and what their specific needs are. But to kind of touch on CBD a little bit, these are going to be the products that you kind of find off the shelf, say like at a local grocery store or online and what have you. And I would give the advice here with that is, not all products are created equally, because CBD and also medical marijuana are very new compared to, say, regular pharmaceutical medications. You will often find, and I'll talk to a lot of patients that tell me, oh, like I've used CBD, but it just doesn't work for me at all. So a very, very high percentage of CBD, like hemp-based CBD products, and sometimes marijuana products as well, they will differ from kind of what they advertise. And the main easiest reason to explain this is because whether it's hemp or marijuana, it's a plant, right? So it's grown out of the ground. Like I said before, it's grown either indoors or outdoors. It can be grown with chemicals or insecticides and what have you. So that's one thing that really kind of dictates how the product will end up. And that's if you're using like the pure flower form. But if you're using it in like a vape, tincture, edible, or topical format, there's a whole, just to keep it kind of long story short, there's a whole science behind how that flower becomes an end product, right? Because like edibles or like lotions or creams, they don't just kind of grow up out of the ground. It has to be extracted from the marijuana and or hemp plant, right? So there's a whole science behind kind of the temperature that it has to be heated up, how you mix it in, if it's mixed up evenly, if it's manufactured correctly, all of that. But whenever I hear a patient kind of tell me that, oh, I tried this product, the CBD product, I got it online or what have you, and it doesn't work, then that's kind of one of the first things that comes to my mind first is maybe it was a product that wasn't manufactured correctly and all that. Alternatively, we do, as a side note, we do have our own lineup of CBD products. We have a roll-on balm that you can find at our clinics, or you can get it online. And we are also coming out with a line of edible CBD gummies as well, and those you do not need a card for. So let me see. Okay, so Kathleen also says, the reason for my question, I've seen topicals that don't verify CBD free. I'm concerned about trying them. So, oh, THC free. Okay. So, and Kathleen, these topicals, are you talking about like topicals that you see at the dispensary, or do you mean just kind of topicals that you've seen like on the shelf, like either online or at like your local grocery store? Just online. Okay. So with that's a really good thing that you bring up. So with some right now, with a lot of like CBD products, even when they're advertising online, because of some of kind of the guidelines, depending on what website you're looking at it on, or like whatever company that they partner up to do like payment processing, sometimes they'll have to leave out some of the copies, so it gets a little bit more confusing to patients. So you'll see certain terminology like full spectrum and other terminology with it. But I would say if you have any questions at all about any specific questions or what have you, or you just want to get, like we do also offer like consultations, not just for medical marijuana, like appointments with our physicians, but we also offer CBD consultations. And we can essentially, what we do there is we have a one-on-one with you, and we basically go through once again what medical conditions you're looking to treat, and we essentially give you a cheat sheet or kind of a direct, we can lead you directly with like product links and what have you of products that would work the best for you and based on what you're looking for. So always shoot us a message or just let me know. But yeah, that's that. And also in terms of THC free, always know that you cannot purchase any medical marijuana products online. That's if they advertise that, that's like not real. And you always have to get a card, or at least be in a state that is recreational. That's kind of the no ifs, ands, or buts about it to get the products legally. Okay, let me look out for any any other questions. But yeah, like I said before, I'm going to throw in my contact information. So this will be my email, phone number, and then also if you need to reach out to us to either schedule an appointment, or if you want to speak to one of our staff or physicians, you can also reach out to me as well. I will help you with any, or I can talk with you about like medical marijuana, like the process, any products that you have questions about, also CBD as well. Okay, so Kathleen says, my entire point of the question would be to keep my record clean. Wouldn't want to fail any drug tests. I know someone who lost her job because she bought a topical and her test was positive for that, and she had a cold license. So with that, that is a good point that you bring up. That's always going to be dependent upon kind of obviously the employer, but on our end, for example, the state of New Jersey, right? If you are getting a card, that means that you are using it for medical purposes, right? Because obviously recreational is not available yet, and the same goes for any other states as well. So it does show that you are using it for medical purposes, and then anything after that fact would just be up to your employer. And I know I've spoken to many different patients. Each employer is different. Some of them just have kind of a different policies, I will say. But for you as the individual, you can always have a discussion with them, let them know what's going on, let them know what you're using it for, and so on, and so forth. But usually the rule of thumb is with CBD only products, it doesn't give you any impairment, right? So that's not something that would really impair you from. It's more a product that you would use for pain relief. However, that's just kind of a general thought, and that's not. I would always talk to your employer about that. Okay, so Marcus, so my name is David Nguyen, and I've also added my contact information up top here. Let me, I'm gonna post it right back to you. Let me see if I can add you. Okay. So there's my information, Marcus, if you'd like to reach out. And like I said, if you are local in the area of New Jersey, Pennsylvania, or Delaware, please, and we can talk about this when you reach out as well. We can direct you to one of our clinics, and we're doing, and then you can schedule an appointment with one of our physicians. But any sort of high level stuff, yeah, definitely reach out to me and let me know. But other than that, let me see. Looks like we have answered the questions. So as always, thank you so much. Once again, you have the contact information. Reach out to me if you need anything. But yeah, hopefully this was helpful to everyone that's viewing. Thank you for showing up. And my name is David. I'm the manager of new market development at North American Spine and Pain. So thank you so much for joining, and have a wonderful rest of your day. And also look forward to our upcoming Facebook Lives, and it will feature a lot of our other physicians, and I'll be coming on and doing some more content about making edibles and revolving around the medical marijuana and other CBD products. And we'll go from there. But thank you so much. Have a wonderful rest of your day. Bye now.